You know what? Sometimes many of these black police officers just need to realize they shouldn't be cops at all. Now, yesterday I brought you a story about a black man that was killed, handcuffed, and in a seatbelt in a police cruiser. Well, this was a black officer that did this. Well, there's a lot coming out about this officer now. So, the black cop charged with murdering a handcuffed man in his police car previously killed another man. Now, he should know better than to kill people and be a black officer up in here. Only white officers can get away with murdering multiple people and staying free. He should know better. So in 2011, police officer Michael Owen fired several deadly shots at a man who pointed a gun at him. So, ladies and gentlemen, here he is. I guess he does look miserable. Can you imagine all of the people that he is seeing in prison that he put there right now? Oh, they gonna have to keep this dude safe because I can see some retaliation coming. So this came out in BuzzFeed News, January 29th, 2020. A criminal complaint released Wednesday provided new details in the case of Maryland police officer charged with murder. So he's being charged with, I believe, second-degree murder in the case of shooting a handcuffed black man inside of his squad car. Michael Owens, officer of Prince George's County Police, was arrested Tuesday and charged with second-degree murder and manslaughter for the death of William Green. According to the criminal complaint, police failed to uncover any evidence of an alleged altercation between the men. They also said no weapons were found on Green. So he shot once again an unarmed black man. How much of a threat could this man, how could he be that big of a threat when you think about it? He was handcuffed, his hands were behind his back. That's how he was handcuffed. And the seatbelt was on him. How much of a threat could this man really have been? Wow. Owen's record also come under scrutiny in 2011 when he was involved in another fatal shooting but not charged. Wow. You know, let's face it, y'all, even a black cop know they can get away with doing things to people in the black community. Because, society don't listen to us. They don't. You have to really do some drastic things in order to get the attention of people. And in criminal court, they virtually give you no voice. They use the black codes on us in criminal court. And even if you're innocent, they're not going to let you have a voice in court. That's why so many people that are innocent go to jail and they get exonerated after they done used you up on prison labor for a few decades. Then they let you go. It's all deliberate. These things are not done and they didn't realize it. They realize all of it from start to finish. Trust me on this one, ladies and gentlemen. So it's black codes that are doing this to us, that they are just renaming the laws just to make sure you don't figure it out. So on Monday night, Owens was among officers who responded to reports that a driver had hit several vehicles in Temple Hills, just south of Washington, D.C. Upon locating the driver, police said he seemed to be under the influence of an unknown substance. Police called for for assistance of a drug recognition experts, and those drug test that they give you out in the field. I did a video on that probably 2 years ago on how those field sobriety tests are no good. Okay, when they went back and tested those tests, they were making people that weren't under the influence at all positive. Okay, and all kinds of crazy things. The test didn't work, and they said the test only worked less than 20% of the time, y'all. So when they give you those tests and they're testing you, that stuff ain't accurate. So ultimately, a lot of people that are under the influence, and some may not be under the influence at all. And I got to tell you about another incident that happened to me. I must have been about 19 years old. And at the time, I had a cold and I was driving home from work. Well, I had cough drops in my car. I took out a cough drop and I put it in my mouth, and I started driving home. I got pulled over by a cop. He came up to my window and I guess he smelled the mentholated cough drop on me. And he said, "Are you drunk?" I said, "No." And I showed him the bag of cough drops. I said, I have a cold. These are my cough drops. But you see how quick you can be accused of something that you did not do. I couldn't be under the influence and go to work and then be under the influence driving home. But he smelled the mentholated cough drops and immediately accused me of being drunk. And I was not drunk at all. And I showed him the cough drops and I told him, I said, "I am suffering from a cold right now and I've been sucking on my cough drops." And he backed off, you know. So, that cop gave me a warning, but no ticket at the time. But it is very easy for people to be under the influence of prescription drugs, and it may appear like they are drunk and they're not. So there's all kinds of reasons, even people having strokes, because I did another article probably back in 2016 where a Black man was having a stroke behind the wheel. And they accused him of being under the influence, and he wasn't under the influence at all. He was having a stroke. And the cops were not able to recognize there was something medically wrong with him, but he was never under the influence. So, what I'm saying to you, ladies and gentlemen, it is very, very easy to put somebody in jail for something that is completely untrue. And being that they got the courts all rigged up, they don't they don't do any investigation because they automatically got it so rigged that nothing we say is believable. They don't want to believe it. So let me get back to the story. Sorry to veer so far off course here. On Monday night, Owens was among officers who responded to reports that a driver had hit several vehicles in Temple Hills, just south of Washington, D.C. Upon locating the driver, police said he seemed to be under the influence of an unknown substance. And then they called a cop to come out to do some drug testing, which I'm telling y'all, those drug tests they give you out in the field are not accurate at all. Green was handcuffed with his hands behind his back and put in the passenger seat of the police car, which was a standard arrest protocol. Police spokesman Christina Cotterman said. Owens then got in the driver's seat. So the cop got in the car after he put William Green in the car, handcuffed behind his back, seat belt on. All right. What happened next is not clear, according to the criminal complaint. Owens then shot Green several times. I can't see how this man under the influence, handcuffed behind his back, seatbelt on, can be that much of a threat to Michael Owens, the police officer. I just don't see it. Okay. He hit several cars because he was under the influence. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this is a black man. Had he lived, he would have went right into criminal court, right? But you got opioid addicts out here that hit people in cars. All kinds of people are under the influence of drugs, and they are running people over and everything else out here. But they get drug court. Had this man lived, trust me, he would have been in criminal court. And we must start calling these things out. How white people under the influence, they get drug court. Black people under the influence, they get jail. Okay, life-saving measures were attempted and Green was transported to a hospital where he was pronounced dead. Police initially told reporters that officers believe Green had been high on PCP and that some sort of altercation between him and Owens broke out inside the car. Okay, now my question is, couldn't he have taken other measures besides putting bullets in him? Why not tase him? Why was the first thing was to grab a gun and pump several bullets into this handcuffed man? You had a taser, didn't you? And don't you have a nightstick? You can't fight him off with a nightstick. You can't fight a handcuffed man off with a nightstick? You know, the gun was really over the top. It really was, for the nature of what was going on at the time. But in a stunning reversal later Tuesday evening, Prince George's County Police Chief Henry Stanwinski, Stawinski, announced that after reviewing details of the incident, he was unable to provide a reasonable explanation for why Green was fatally shot, because there was none, ladies and gentlemen. There was no explanation. I have concluded that what happened last night is a crime, and I agree with the police chief. The only thing is, you need to do this more with your white officers too. Stawinski said in his announcement that Owens would face criminal charges. Mhm. Do you see how fast they put black officers in jail? Do you remember the two black officers that went to jail? I think they got like 40 years for shooting at a truck when really it was the father's fault that his son was killed. They got 40 years. And then you have Officer Muhammad. Do y'all remember him? He went to jail. And now you got another black officer going to jail for something that white officers get away with all the time, shooting unarmed black people that were no threat whatsoever. But like I said, society even trains our own people into believing they can get away with anything with another black person. Okay, I have concluded that what happened last night is a crime. Okay, so this is what the chief said. The police chief's announcement marked a dramatic departure from what was previously believed to have transpired. It also stood apart from typical cases of police killings. Yeah, you shot them handcuffed. Usually, white cops, they'll shoot you unarmed, especially if you're down on the ground. You really no threat. They will pump a bullet in you, just like Alton Sterling and many others. Okay. It also stood apart from typical cases of police killings, which charges are rare and often only come about weeks or months afterwards amid intense public pressure and media scrutiny. Well, usually media don't scrutinize cops in America. So I don't agree with that part. Usually the media will go along with cops, especially if it's a white cop killing a black suspect. They will do everything they can to protect that cop. You know, the officers are not under scrutiny like that. That's a lie. I don't agree with that. In a statement about Green's killing, the ACLU criticized the fact that Owens was not equipped with a body camera. Well, a lot of times these cops have them and they choose not to wear them, or they will switch the camera off, or, and you always notice whenever there's a fatal shooting, something's always wrong with the damn camera. Okay, something's always wrong with the camera. Come on. They don't want those cameras because, see, a lot of these cops are shady. They do a lot of shady things on the job, and they don't want that shit to be seen. Those body cameras are a nuisance to them. Okay, they noted that Prince George's County police officers shot two other black men in September and October, also while not wearing body cameras. How convenient. They shoot two other black men back in 2019, September and October, and oh, no body camera. Woo, these people are so not fooling anybody. It is absolutely senseless for full transparency to not be a number one priority for this department, the ACLU said. It should have been a top priority years ago, but these recent tragic events only makes this need more urgent. Well, first of all, you know what it is? The body cameras, if they would make it mandatory, or if they don't have it on during these shootings, the cop automatically goes to jail. I promise you, if you had something like that in place, you would not have any more problems with body cams being switched off if they knew they had something to lose. But see, that's the problem. These cops know they have absolutely nothing to lose by switching off those cameras or not wearing one. They have nothing to lose. If y'all remember, Amber Geiger didn't have nothing on. You know? And they said there were all kinds of things she could have done. She could have used her radio. So these cops will forego a lot of things and nothing happens to them. So why should they stop not wearing a body camera or just tampering with it and switching that baby off? There's no consequences. They don't put any consequences on the cops over the body camera. So why wouldn't they why would they stop doing anything? They wouldn't. In fact, they would ramp it up. So look like Owen's got a lawyer at this point. And, of course, the Green family, they are grieving. Their loved one was shot to death. I don't blame them. This is the family talking. I can't understand why you had him in the car seat belted down, handcuffed, and then they shoot him. For what reason? What could he possibly do? Exactly. This is what his mother said. Her name is Brenda Green, told Fox 5 DC. Exactly. Well, I tell you what, Marilyn, you're going to be paying out for this one. Okay. I don't see how you're going to escape compensating this family. Y'all need to get more than anybody on this case in the history of America when it comes down to a police shooting, because this one was definitely over the top. A woman who identified herself as Green's cousin tweeted that she will fight with the last breath in me for justice. She remembered him just as a family man, a working man who was funny and loving. All right. So I guess her name is Liv. And this was tweeted January 28th, 2020 at 1:24 p.m. They murdered my cousin. How do you have someone in handcuffs and in a seatbelt and shoot them multiple times? All cops aren't bad, but those were. Yeah, well, that's debatable. We will fight with the last breath in me for justice. William Green was a family man, a working man, funny, loving, love and miss you. Wow. Green was not the first person Owens has shot and killed while on the job, according to local reports. In 2011, Owens fired several shots at 35-year-old Rodney Edwards, killing him. After leaving a Toys for Tot charity event, Owens found Edwards lying on the ground in Palmer Park, Maryland. The Washington Post reported at the time. So here's Rodney Edwards. This is the man he killed back in 2011. Wow. Owens, who was wearing his police uniform and driving an unmarked van, reportedly approached the man to help him. Edwards threatened Owens with a loaded gun, and Owens responded by shooting him several times, said Kevin Davis, assistant Prince George's County police chief. Edwards' gun was recovered at the scene. You know what? Just judging from what this cop said in this incident, he tried to act like he was justified in shooting William Green handcuffed in a police cruiser. I don't believe his account even on this incident. I don't. I don't. I think he lied all along and he needs to be charged with this murder as well as William Green. That's just my opinion. Davis told reporters at the time that it was unclear what Edwards' state of mind was during the incident, but added his relatives suggest he may have been drunk. Though Owens was placed on administrative leave over the 2011 incident, he never faced charges, and the killing was ruled justified. Of course, it was. WJLA reported. In another incident in 2009, Owens exchanged gunfire with a person who attempted to rob him outside his home. Police told the Washington Post the robber attempted to shoot Owens, who was off duty at the time, and was shot back. Neither person was hit. The robber fled, and neither person was charged. Really? In an interview with the station Tuesday, Edwards' uncle, Nathan Edwards, reacted to Green's killing. Even when he killed my nephew, they tried to justify it, he said. The pieces didn't make sense. And I have to agree. All you got, and unfortunately, they do this in America when there are no other witnesses at the scene, the cop's word is always taken over anybody else. And we know how much they lie. And that in itself is a problem. And he's right. They need to reopen the case for Rodney Edwards. And I hope they do. I really do. I hope they reopen this case and investigate it, because I seriously doubt if Michael Owens, the police officer, told the truth when it comes down to this man's death. I'm just saying, I don't believe his account. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is very clear this man should never have been a cop in the first place. He was reckless and very uncaring in his job. And like many cops, had probably an inflated ego and believe he could get away with virtually anything. And normally they could. Because America put these cops up on pedestals and make them feel like they can never do no wrong. And all that do is just make them more vicious, more violent, and more killers. That's all you're doing. That's all you're doing when you're propping them up. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is truly a tragedy. My heart goes out to the family of William Green and Michael Owens. I just hope you rot in hell. And I hope you encounter every single inmate that you put in there and they give you hell. Please leave your comment and subscribe. Don't forget to hit on the notification bell, and I'll see you on the next video. Peace, family.